lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. Episode 6, What the Heck's Going On, starts off in a pretty scary way. As a kid, I think this episode did manage to scare me where some episodes of the original never did. Can you blame me? Listen to that ghostly wail. This episode also involves a fairly iconic Scooby-Doo villain, the Ghost of Elias Kingston. If you've never seen this series, you may instead recall him from episode 1 of Be Cool Scooby-Doo. You can check out my review of that episode right now for more on that character. As usual, this villain is really a mix of threatening and just plain goofy, which is a characteristic of these early monsters. I talked about it briefly in my last review, I think, but this episode really continues the trend. At this point, I'm trying my best to figure out if that's a negative or a positive. I suppose it just really depends. At times, it's hard to take the monsters seriously when they do things like this. Other times, it adds to the comedy factor, like this. Either way, I do think he, at his better moments, was a more convincing villain than the previous ones, but that's just my opinion, of course. Another thing I mentioned in a previous review was the suspension of disbelief asked of viewers when it comes to the explanations for villains' activities. In this episode, we're told that a table flew around complete with Elias Kingston appearing within a crystal ball thanks to a fan and a closed-circuit camera. To me, that's a bit too much to ask considering how easily the table flew around. I also don't get how a camera would work that way, especially later in the episode when it's used to trick the ghost into Fred's less than amazing trap. It was just a net. Personally, this episode is a bit of a mixed bag for me. It has a good villain, but he has some less than great moments. Then you have a series of great comedic moments like Scooby being out for lunch or his ear tapping him to wake him up, but you also have some really jarring plot points that don't make a lick of sense. I managed to enjoy the good moments, but I won't pretend this episode did not have its problems. It was just okay. What about you, though? What do you think of this episode? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you're new, be sure to check out my other videos by clicking some of the cards that popped up during this video. And if you like them, consider subscribing for more cartoon reviews every day. Thanks for watching, and take care. Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoons. Today I finally got to watch the premiere of Be Cool Scooby-Doo, and I've got to say I think people were worried for nothing. The art style may not match what people think of when they picture Scooby-Doo, but this show is still very pretty to look at, from the fluid animation to the use of CG in certain parts of the episode. As for the characters, they're all on point with how you expect the characters to act from previous series. The only real difference is Daphne and her use of puppets. For the promo, I thought it was a little odd, but it works within the episode itself. It might get old for some people, but so long as the show uses it sparingly, I'm okay with it. In Mystery Incorporated, Fred is shown being obsessed with traps, and while so far that doesn't seem to be the case in Be Cool Scooby-Doo, he still retains that level of know-how. Specifically, when he Daphne-proofed the van.
Like, are puppets stealing the mystery machine?
Daphne?
I thought you Daphne-proofed the mystery machine.
It's under control.
And then created camouflage for the mystery van when they snuck into the university late at night.
The best security is looking like you don't need any.
Velma doesn't seem to have changed much at all, besides the new voice actors, but she does have what I have dubbed Batgirl vision. While in the library hunting down a clue, there's this really nice visual of various numbers and information flying around her. This eventually leads to her finding out what the numbers they'd found written on a sticky note meant by using the Dewey Decimal System. I hope this is used in future episodes because it adds a nice visual flair to Velma figuring out the mystery. Of course, the characters who really haven't changed at all would be Scooby and his pal Shaggy. They're still just as easily scared and prone to wanting to flee from danger, as seen here.
I have seen a lot of snooty kids running away with their tails between their legs.
Huh, yeah.
cowards! So now, exactly which direction did they run?
Their love of food is also there, even to the point of a really funny moment when they get trapped in a vending machine along with the monster.
Maybe if I just... got it! That's it, Scoob!
I know it's been ages since I watched the older series, but this definitely seems to keep in line with that tradition. The episode itself revolves around Velma wanting to get into college, namely Kingston University. If that name sounds familiar to veteran Scooby-Doo fans, that's because that is the name of the so-called Ghost of Elias Kingston, a villain who made his appearance in the original 1969 series. The gang, of course, as always, sets out to unmask this ghost, who is scaring off prospective students. Because this show is a reimagining of the 1969 series, the villain is not Stuart Weatherby, but actually Mitchell, with help from his dad, the head of security. I found this episode to be highly entertaining. It had some of the funniest moments I've ever seen in a Scooby-Doo cartoon. That's not to say the older stuff wasn't funny, but this episode had me laughing quite a few times at Daphne's puppets.
Okay, let's split up and look for clues. Velma, Daphne, and I will search Dean Longfellow's office. I have a feeling there's more going on there than he told us.
Or even Scooby-Doo in Shaggy's antics. Not to mention the recurring tactics joke said by Joe. If you were scared to death that Cartoon Network was going to ruin the Scooby-Doo franchise, then let me assure you, they have not. While this certainly isn't your parent Scooby-Doo, the essence of what makes this show so great is still present. This episode gets a
Tactics
out of 10. If you haven't watched this episode yourself, Cartoon Network is airing new episodes all this week, and of course, yours truly will be reviewing them all. That's my review. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments section below, and please think about leaving a like behind. Thanks for watching. Take care.